The EU's diplomatic service has proposed a significant boost in military assistance, urging each member state to contribute funds based on their economic size. The plan, outlined in a brief paper seen by Reuters, includes supplying Ukraine with 1.5 million rounds of artillery shells this year to replenish its fast-depleting stockpiles.
What next? UK gives £4.5 billion of military aid, sanctions against Russian companies. Spain, €1 billion in 2025. Canada, 25 LAV-3 vehicles, F-16 simulators, ammunition, and $5 billion in frozen Russian assets revenues. €3.5 billion from EU in March. Sweden, air defense systems worth about $113 million. Denmark, a new aid package for Ukraine worth €270 million. Norway will provide Ukraine with $1.1 billion in humanitarian aid and energy security. Finland, €4.5 million to Ukraine.
The UK is prepared to back this with boots on the ground and planes in the air, together with others.
The next step is, as I already said, that there is the chance for a truce when it comes to strikes on air and on sea, which I think could be a basis for further discussions on a peace. And it is necessary that we are discussing, and we already started, about the security architecture surrounding Ukraine. And repeating what I already said, the basis of everything would be a strong Ukrainian army.
Suggestions that Europe is quietly working on plans to send troops into Ukraine at some point in the future. Whether those troops will be a peacekeeping force or a united European army designed to deter Putin isn't clear. But what we can take from all of this is that France's bold move to send nuclear weapons into Germany is part of a wider plan.
Canada has been one of the strongest countries in support of Ukraine from the very beginning. For over 10 years now, we've been training Ukrainian defense forces. We're up to close to 40,000 Ukrainian troops that we have trained over the years. We're continuing to play a significant role in training, as is the UK, who is our primary partner in that. We've also invested close to $20 billion in supports for Ukraine, military, economic, and other. And we're going to continue to be there to support Ukraine as necessary, with whatever it takes for as long as it takes.
Pro-war European liberals are not interested in the success of the Russian negotiations with the US. In fact, they are conspiring and preparing action to prevent the success of the Russian negotiations with the US. They are not being shy. They are stating openly and clearly that they want to put together a big money and arms package that will allow Ukraine to say no, a deal that someone called bad. So all that is happening is that the pro-war liberals in Europe are conspiring to spend the money of the European people to prolong the war. More arms and more money for Ukraine.
You're gambling with the lives of millions of people. You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling with World War III.
The US government under George H.W. Bush made an offer to Russian President Mikhail Gorbachev. It suggested if Germany became a NATO member, NATO would stop expanding, not 1 inch eastwards. No new members. Today, the US says it made no such promise, that no such deal was ever struck, but hundreds of memos, meeting minutes, and transcripts from US archives indicate otherwise. Nevertheless, Moscow bought the offer. It demolished the Warsaw Pact in the hope that the West would follow suit, that NATO too would be dissolved. But that never happened. NATO refused to cease operations. And to add insult to injury, they kept the door for membership open. Russia saw it as a stab in the back, and NATO kept pushing the dagger deeper. Look at this map. NATO started out with 12 founding members, but since the Soviet Union fell, it has radically expanded eastwards. In 1999, Poland, Hungary, the Czech Republic joined NATO. In 2004, there was another wave of expansion. 7 Central and Eastern European nations were made NATO members. Some of them were former Soviet republics. In 2009, Albania and Croatia joined NATO. And the most recent entries were Montenegro and North Macedonia, both situated in Russia's backyard. It does not end there. As of 2021, NATO officially recognized 3 more aspiring members: Bosnia and Herzegovina, Georgia, and Ukraine. Last we checked, NATO was also in talks with Sweden, Finland, and Serbia for membership. So to put it simply, much of Eastern Europe, which once used to be part of the Soviet Union, has now joined NATO, and this happened despite Russia's protests and warnings. The last reasonably friendly warning from Moscow came in the year 2007. Vladimir Putin addressed the annual Munich conference, where he said, and I'm quoting, "NATO has put its frontline forces on our borders. This expansion represents a serious provocation that reduces the level of mutual trust, and we have the right to ask, against whom is this expansion intended, and what happened to the assurances our Western partners made after the dissolution of the Warsaw Pact?"
These are the same people who said okay to vaccinate our children with a vaccine that had minimal effect, if any. And it is the same people who allow illegal immigrants to invade our countries.